Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be working more on this page from Hanna Karlzon's Tales from the Witch's Cottage. So if you saw my last video, that was a tutorial of how I did these leaves. Since then I've also filled in the sky and I've added some of the stems for these flowers here. These colors for the stems are done in exactly the same colors as the leaves. I think next what I want to color is the trees. I think I want those leaves to stand out, so I think I am going to go with the kind of maroon, fuchsia, bushy part of the leaves. I don't have my swatch chart. Usually I just pick colors off my swatch chart. I cannot find it, so I do not pick colors by the barrels because barrels are inaccurate. So I'll be picking by testing out some colors. Ooh, maybe this is what we'll do. We'll use magenta and process red, and then we can shade with the raspberry. And highlight with the pink. So I usually start in a place where it's a little more shadowy, just in case it comes out a little darker than I planned on. It's fixable and it's in a place of shade where it's okay if it's kind of funky in shadows. Shadows do funny things, so if you're gonna mess up in a shadowy area. And my light source will be coming from probably the top right, just because that's where they always tend to come. In general, on this page and in Hanna Karlzon's page, she likes to use these dots as kind of you can use them as a way to help you decide where to put some shadow. So if you're uncomfortable shading, you can use the dots as a guide. And the nice thing about leafy trees is that, right, there's a bunch of leaves in here, so I could shade anywhere and end up making it look like just a bunch of leaves in the end. Kind of like a clump of them, a group. And so what we're doing right now is we're just shading groups. We're not trying to create individual leaves. So using the dots as a guide for shadow, you don't have to only shade where there's the dots. I kind of go over the dots and extend a little bit in a direction. And because this is just clumpy leaves, you can't really mess this up. I kind of stay near the edges. So if there's an edge like this, I tend to keep this side sort of if you can imagine it, it's like the top of a clump of leaves. I tend to keep the tops of clumps of leaves clear to keep for a highlight, because if the sun's shining down, it's going to reach the leaves that are outward and upward. So I kind of shade behind those here where these dots are and leave the tops of the clumps free. You can also go around the fruits. The fruits are going to nestle into the leaves and kind of push some of the leaves down and back. So we can shade around those. You want to go in little circles and try not to see scratchy pencil strokes. We want the strokes to look like circles. Those are going to be easier to blend. And this is not heavy-handed at all. This is pretty light. So we're just going around all the clumps on the tree. You can just leave some random, like I'm going to leave that tip clear. Just leave some random little bits empty. Helps make it look like the leaves are kind of splayed out sporadically. And as you're going, it's important to pull away and look and see, okay, am I satisfied with where this is going? And I actually think this looks pretty cool. So I'm just going to keep going. And again, if you don't know where to shade, when in doubt, just cover the dots and extend a bit. Sometimes after you've been doing this for a while, you get a flat end on, I don't know if you can see it, you can get a flat end on your pencil. And then if you pull your pencil away and put it back down, it's really important to see, okay, how is my flat end down, or is my pointy end of that flat end down? Because if you set that point down, you're gonna get the scratchy pencil effect. So when you set it back down, you wanna make sure it's back flat at the angle it was when you started this. Strangely enough, if you start with a sharpened pencil and really lightly do this, you won't get that scratchy pencil stroke. But for some reason, after that flat angle has been established, then using the point of that will give you that scratchy stroke. So you just want to be careful when you picking your pencil up and putting it back down to the paper. Okay. All right. Next, I'm going to lay in some process red, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap some of the color that's already down, not completely, so I'm not going to start at this edge and cover all of the magenta, but I'm going to start maybe here from the edge. And then to blend, I'm just doing the same exact motions. It's a circle, it's very light pressure, and I'm just going to extend a little bit further than I did with the magenta. So going over a little bit of the magenta, not all of it. I want to leave some of it pure magenta around the edges. And then continue to, sorry, my pencil's hitting my microphone, so I don't know if it's making a funny clicking noise. Just continue to extend. And I apologize for the noise that the neighbor's making. You do want to leave some white space because we do want room for highlights. But in general, we are filling up more of the white on the page. And then you pull your pencil back and look and see, okay, where have I kind of overdone it? May have overdone it a little bit in here. I actually think that I need to darken the magenta in this area because I like how this looks with the darker magenta. So I'm just going to come back in, and it doesn't really matter because I know I'm going to come in again and darken everything anyway eventually, but I just want to know, I want to remember where I laid that magenta down, so I'm going to darken it a little bit, and that's just really so that I can see it when I come back later with some more colors. It's still light pressure, I'm just doing more layers. I'm not pushing any harder. It's just a second pass. When I've got a spot like this, where this is set behind these tops of the clumps, I really like to make that a little extra on the darker side, so I will push just a little bit more here, because that's going to help the highlight there at the top of the clump pop. So I am going to darken that a little bit. But now I'm going back to just my original pressure. Okay. A little bit more up here. There we go. And then just to even it up. Okay, that's fine for now. I'm going to need to come back and darken that area a bit, but that's okay. Let's keep going with our process red now. Let's kind of blend what I just did and go over those areas a bit. This part looks kind of funky to me. There, so I did bring it up to the edge a little bit there just to give it some shape. I may do the same thing over here. All right, I'll worry about that more when I'm adding in the highlight, and then I'll blend it out afterward. Let's add our process red up here. Oh, and there's the fridge. So noisy. Okay, let's actually add in our shadow a bit. So now we're using raspberry just to go for some of the darkest areas. We're just right around the edges, and you're going underneath of the clumps. So probably where there's dots. We're really just pulling from the edge a little darker and then lightening the pressure as we come away from that edge. And up here feels like a dark spot. And maybe here. And over here, I think. bring this up a little bit, change the shape there a bit. So I'm going to take this magenta, I'm going to bring my shadow up a bit. And then the process red, extend that out this way, and just sort of change that shape that I had going there. And then we'll take the raspberry. Nope, that's magenta. See, this is why I don't use barrels, is because this one looks like it's going to be darker than this one. But the magenta, the raspberry is darker than the magenta. The barrel on this one's darker, but the actual pigment is darker than this one. Very important to swatch out your pencils. Okay, so I think I'm just going to add a little bit of this pink as a highlight, and I'm not going to bring it all the way to the edges because I've just decided that I think I do want to use a cream or a white to blend everything instead. So if I come back to here, I can grab a cream or eggshell. Okay, let's try cream. Let's try eggshell. Oh, eggshell's too dark. Okay, so I might use cream or white to blend over everything. Oh yeah, I like that. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to leave a little bit white next to that light pink because I do want to go over it with cream. So I'm not afraid of bringing some of that pink right up to the edge now since it's a lighter color. I really like the way this part here looks. I think I want to use my eraser and go over this. I don't like what I did there. See, you try things, you don't like them, you fix them. It's fine. And when you use light pressure, it's no biggie to go in and erase some things. It won't take everything up, but it will help. And I think I'll even take out some of here. Just lift that a little bit. And maybe here. Okay. It's the process red. And magenta. See, I keep picking up the raspberry because the barrel's lighter. Okay. Magenta. Add a little process red here. I'm going to throw in some pink over here. And I've actually decided that what I'm doing with the pink is just going over the colors I've already done and using it to blend it, and I'm going to leave my white spaces for the cream. I don't want to lose those spots. I just want to warm them up a little bit. So now I'm going to go in with my highlight, and I'm going to start right in the white parts and then drag it down into the rest of the colors that are already down. Clearly I can't talk and color at the same time. Okay, and you see now we have the highlight. It looks just like it did with the white pretty much, except I've warmed it up and it matches the light from the sky. And I am going fairly hard. I am burnishing. And I'm going over everything because I'm burnishing and because I'm blending all those colors through with the cream to help it feel cohesive and consistent. It's kind of like putting a filter, like a photo filter on top of it. Right, I'm just filtering everything through this cream color. And I need to sharpen my pencil, I think. So you can see the difference here and here. I could be doing the same thing that I'm doing with the cream. I could do it with the white, and I do that sometimes. The white would look cool. The reason I'm using the cream is because it feels like the lighting is consistent between the light we see in the sky and on the trees now. So because the sky is kind of a golden light, I want the leaves to have that golden glow. Okay, and even though I've burnished it, I can go in and I can still kind of blend it if I go very lightly. I'm just going to go with this pink and just soften some of those edges that look a little hard. Okay, let's do the rest of it. hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you liked it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content like this in the future.